I am your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I want to look at the AFCON 2025, Sadio Mane, and the Moroccans. Morocco hosted the 2025 AFCON competition, and they are going to be part of the 2030 World Cup hosting countries. But the AFCON 2025 tournament had a lot of issues that were quite embarrassing. First of all, there were complaints about the officiating. We should have improved on refereeing in the African continent. There was a World Cup that was played. There was no African referee. It's because of the way we handle matches in Africa. There were a lot of disputed calls, goals, penalties, goals that were annulled. Even the VAR, which is subject to human interpretation, a lot of times it's as if that technology is of no significant use in Africa. However, there are some key issues I want to highlight. Morocco is supposed to be an ancient civilization because the oldest continuous degree awarding university in the world is in Fez, Morocco. It was established by Fatima based on the inheritance she got from her father. So the university, the Al Qarin University, Google it. The roof is green. I know what I'm talking about. It's still there. It was established either in the 9th century AD or the 10th century AD. So Morocco had a lot of trans-Saharan trade and interaction with Europe. One would have expected their fans and their citizens to be much better behaved. We saw some of the officers, what are they called? Those people, ball boys and whatever, going to pick the towels of our goalkeeper. Even Hakimi, who is playing in Europe, also picked the napkin towel of a goalkeeper. That was very, very shameful, very embarrassing, very uncultured. And even the distribution of tickets, the Moroccan officials ensured that Senegalese supporters didn't get tickets. And anytime the opposing team had the ball, they were booing. That had been their attitude throughout the competition. That's not fair for a nation that wants to host the World Cup. You will contradict me by saying that British fans, despite the how old the British Empire is, that British fans are amongst the most unruly groups of fans in the world. In fact, I was in Scotland. No, I was in Wales, and they were going to Scotland. It happened in Scotland. It happened when I was in Wales. They were going to play a match. When the supporters were coming, it's as if they were going to war. I had to dodge somewhere in the train station for them to pass before coming out. I was in Barcelona and with Dr. Ofoma Apoki, and we interacted with an Espanyol fan. The aggression he had towards Barcelona Football Club was palpable. There was a recent match between Espanyol and Barcelona. They had to put barriers behind the goalpost because Barcelona bought the goalkeeper of Espanyol, who was a very good goalkeeper. They put nets to prevent people throwing empty water bottles into the pitch. Now, one of the things I've realized is that pressure brings out the man in you, the real man in you, your real nature. When Morocco was awarded a penalty in the very dying minutes, the Senegalese team walked out of the pitch. I reviewed the penalty. I also reviewed the disallowed goal. In Africa, we should learn to do things properly. In Zimbabwe, there was an election. There was so much violence, intimidation, people being arrested and patronized from their homes. There was a lot of yamutunization. In Cameroon, the same thing. In Nigeria, it was pick, snatch, and run away. When would we do things properly without resorting to violent disagreement, self-help, and all kinds of rubbish? But there was somebody that stood out. His name is Sadio Mane, the man that scored the goal that took Senegal to the finals. A very humble man who has done a lot of projects for his people in Senegal back home. And he's a very disciplined and frugal man, simple man. When Senegal walked out of the pitch, Sadio Mane stood in the pitch. So he ran into the tunnel to call his people back, his fellow players back. That is a man who is not afraid to lose honorably, even when being cheated. That was the spirit that Peter Obi displayed in the 2023 elections. There were obvious glitches. There were figures that were falsified. The constitution was bent. The 25% in Abuja. Abuja has always been an independent voting unit in Nigeria. It was the mandatory need for 25% was bent in the judgment of the Supreme Court. But Peter Obi did not resort to violence. If it was the other way round, we will not have recovered from the violence that will have taken place in Lagos and other parts of Western Nigeria. If it was the other way round in the time of Buhari, when baboons and monkeys were seeing what I don't want to mention here, we will have had catastrophe. The Obi calmed his supporters and the nation had peace. Even though he lost the elections, he is still more respected and appreciated around Nigeria by the so-called winners. So there are times you lose honorably. There are times you choose to be a fool for you to win. Sadio Mane stood and they came back after about 10 minutes, the Senegalese team, to play. And then Diaz wanted to do Panenka. Panenka penalty shootouts, a style of shooting the penalty, was first publicly demonstrated in 1976, the UEFA Championship competition in Belgrade. In 1976, the final, the player for Czech Republic, Antion Panenka, displayed that style of penalty calmly and scored, and the Czech Republic won. But he has been practicing it from the streets over the years. I checked his biography and checked the history of that scores. So Diaz missed it. Some people said that he purposely played it like that for fair play. No, I don't believe that. All the efforts, all the kurukere that Morocco put into the game in order to win will not allow Diaz to intentionally play the ball into the hands of the keeper. The keeper anticipated that style and caught the ball. Now, Mane, Senegal eventually won the match, but Mane won the hearts of the people globally. He saved AFCON 2025. If the Senegalese team had walked away and refused to come back, that would have been one of the greatest disasters in international football. We need more people like Sadio Mane in Africa. At 33, I'm praying that one day he will be like, what's the name of the president of Liberia, George Weah. He will be like George Weah one day and bring his good character, his leadership qualities, his humility, and his developmental tendency for his people to play in the country called Senegal. One of the things that happened in the AFCON 2025 is the color division in Africa that became more manifest. The Negroid people in West Africa, East Africa, and Southern Africa were a group. They supported their kind, and it was as if West Africa, East Africa, Central Africa, and South Africa were playing against North Africa. One funny thing I have seen is that when pressure comes, when interest becomes intense, the true nature of people are revealed. On that pitch, on the final day, a great percentage of people in the stadium and those playing were Muslims. The Senegalese were predominantly Muslims. The Moroccans were predominantly Muslims. But each person was fighting for self-interest and the need to win at all costs. Religion is an invention of man to put man into custody and to conform man to the head effect. But a true man, the true nature of a good man, stands above religion. That's why the Muslim cleric that saved Christians in northern Nigeria from Muslim terrorists is somebody that should be recognized, given a national award, and be emulated. That's why I respect somebody like Aisha Yesufu. Even though she's a Muslim, she stands tall to defend truth and what is right and what is just. So, the AFCON has revealed a lot of things that we must consider if we are to do well in Africa. We must not win at all costs. We must not be afraid to lose. We must not be afraid to stand for what is right Sadio Mane saved Africa from shame. I wonder what the headlines will have been. We're looking for people who will put the interests of Africa, the interests of society and the future beyond their primordial interest of winning at all costs. You must not win at all costs. That was what wanted to happen in Morocco. Thank God for Senegal. And congratulations to Senegal. Congratulations to Sadio Mane. And I will conclude by saying that the whole nations that played were there, but there were people that stood out because they are individually they resonated with the whole world, and then that includes Michel Doka Bolandiga. God bless you. I'm your friend, Dr. Charles Apoki. I have properties for sale. We do counseling. I have branded t-shirts for sale and so many other things. Send a message to +234 80 21 21 92 62. God bless you. I'm going to do a video on the conflict of cultures. God bless you, Nigeria. Kò ní bàjẹ́.